So Eduardo, you kind of presented the different key plays, and I'm just curious, when you think about being inside of a bank or a wealth management organization, how do you think they would resonate? What do you think those roles, those business decision maker roles, are really looking for from us?
So I really think that customers today are looking for us to tell them things that they should, for some reason, either weren't thinking about or don't know, or maybe they don't have the capabilities on how to do it. So the key plays are really intended to provide that value, that expertise that we can bring, utilizing data to provide that intelligence. In that regard, I think if we position it that way, they will resonate very well with our customers.
Yeah. And do you feel like there are differences when you think about those business decision makers that would resonate with the key play content? Are there variations around the world that you see? Are there differences in some of the different regions?
Yeah, I think so. I think that obviously there's some unique requirements depending on the region. So if we think of Europe, for example, Europe is going through a lot of changes in terms of regulation when we think of PSD2 and GDPR. So obviously that's accelerated a lot of these disruptions or transformation, if you want to call it that. But with that said, it's also had an impact in the U.S. Because now the U.S. has to react to that. Even though a lot of banks may not be present in Europe, a lot of banks in the U.S. have customers in Europe and even have branches.
Yeah.
So even though there may be some uniqueness, I do see over time us being at the same level.
Yeah. And how interested are they in digital transformation? Are we seeing a lot of interest around digital transformation? Do they have some fear or some pain around their business as usual business models?
I think that banks have embraced digital transformation. Most business decision makers recognize the need to align to the current environment. For example, customers today, their experience expectations have changed. They want anywhere, anytime access to products and services. And a lot of this can only be done through technology. Being able to access a bank's product and service through mobile, for example, through your cell phone, or accessing it to your laptop. Maybe you're on a plane somewhere. The lines between physical and online are blurred, if not invisible. So in order to meet those expectations, they have to embrace digital transformation.
And do you see that digital transformation being expressed kind of outside of their swim lane? Do you see them expanding in their thinking out to maybe businesses that are non-traditional, or is it mostly just the fintechs that are still doing that?
So that's a great question. Banks traditionally have been slow to respond. They've been very safeguarded with changes. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they have a lot of legacy systems, and that has prevented or limited that embrace or implementation of new technologies, for example. But I think what I'm seeing is that a lot of banks recognize that in order to stay relevant, and the fintechs are helping to drive a lot of that. When you think about the impact the fintechs are having in the value chain system, not just in payments, but all of it, front end, middle, and back office. And then you couple that with new entrants into the market like big tech firms, the Amazons of the world, for example. They're now moving into, and they want a piece of the banking marketplace. Right. You look at Alibaba in China, where 1/10 of all payments are now done through Alibaba. So banks are now starting to recognize the imperative and the need to transform.
Yeah.
Not only because it's important for the customers, but because they have new competitors that want more of the pie.
Yeah, I mean, what a huge challenge that is. And do you see them knowing how to go about it? Or do you really see these key plays as being kind of a roadmap for them to address a lot of that pain that they're seeing or feeling?
And I really think that's where we can come in and help.
Yeah.
Because banks are pretty savvy about the what. They recognize the imperatives.
Yeah.
They want us to validate those imperatives. They want us to validate those pain points. But the part that they struggle with is how to do it.
Yeah.
How can you get me from the current state to the future state?
Yeah.
And being able to provide those capabilities and the know-how is where a company like Microsoft can come in and add value.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave.